Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 17th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Definitely still sicko mode, but we're making it through. It's Tuesday. Let's see here. Work went pretty well. Definitely stayed busy. So, I was just in my position, mashing the trash. I felt a little bit better today in some ways, but other ways I'm kind of just as miserable, if not worse. I feel like I'm getting less of a headache, so that's nice. But I'm coughing more and my throat hurts a little bit more. So I guess that means it's on the move, as in the mucus. So there's that. I don't know if that's progress or not. I never know. But hopefully we're moving towards, recovery, day by day, bit by bit. But overall, the vibes were good. Work was solid. Let's see here. We did the gym after. I'm still trying to keep up with that, not give it up, despite having a little bit of the suds. But yeah, overall it was a good day. Let's go ahead and do food corner. Kind of given the time parameters, and really more so because I'm just still not, I wasn't feeling good. I just said, you know what, I got soup. I'm gonna make some soup. So I made a chicken tortilla soup with a couple pieces of bread and a salad. It was pretty good. It was nice. I generally don't love soup unless I'm in this condition. But when I'm in this condition, soup is pretty good, at least a time or two. And then I'm instantly burnt out on it. But that being said, I will say, good soup is good soup. And the soup was pretty good. All right. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and do our startup and we'll get into some news. Oh, I also want to do a trigger warning here. Not this article, but definitely, sadly, unfortunately, the rest of this article. It's just a trigger warning, just sexual assault stuff. There's some talk of the old pedophilia-ish stuff, at least in terms of bad CSAM material, if I'm using the right word, their acronym there. But we'll get into it. Just wanted to make you aware, and definitely that's something that's gonna really upset you, bother you. Completely understand. You got the blog. You can get out of here. It's definitely a fine time to just kind of lurk and go. But yeah, let me go ahead and or click and go, I should say. The lurkers are gonna stay and get this fucked up shit. But yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll get into it. Okay, our first story comes from the Associated Press. Hezbollah hit by a wave of exploding pagers and blames Israel. At least 9 dead, thousands injured. Pagers used by hundreds of members of the militant group Hezbollah exploded near simultaneously in Lebanon and Syria on Tuesday, killing at least 9 people, including an 8-year-old girl, and wounding several thousand, officials said. Hezbollah and the Lebanese government blamed Israel for what happened to be a sophisticated remote attack. Among those wounded was Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. The mysterious explosions came amid rising tensions between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah. Yada, 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 October 7th. They love saying that shit. The pagers that blew up had apparently been acquired by Hezbollah after the group's leader ordered members in February to stop using cell phones, warning they could be tracked by Israeli intelligence. A Hezbollah official told the Associated Press the pagers were brand new, or were a new brand, but declined to say how long they had been in use. At about 3:30 p.m. local time on Tuesday, as people shopped for groceries, sat in cafes, or drove cars and motorcycles in the afternoon traffic, the pagers in their hands or pockets started heating up and then exploding, leaving blood-splattered scenes and panicking bystanders. It appeared that many of those hit were members of Hezbollah, but it was not immediately clear if others had also carried the pagers. and it appeared to be very sophisticated in the sense of like the pager would heat up and like vibrate, like go off and stuff, and it was like going off due to this error message. But this error message, you would have to press a series of buttons to get it to go away, and by doing it, there was like an eraser. At least this is kind of what is suspected by analysts or whatever experts, that there was like maybe an eraser-sized device, explosive device, that was somehow put in by Mossad, Israeli spy intelligence, that they were able to infiltrate their supply chain, put in this explosive that would go off to this coordination of buttons, and then it would explode. Which is, it's just very crazy sophisticated. I would say it is one of those times where, because I heard this and I was like, that's crazy. That's some like spy book shit. That's some Tom Clancy shit to like fucking see in real life. And, but I mean, yeah, I instantly knew, I'm like, this is something that Israel's capable of. But it is definitely worth noting that Israel hasn't commented on it, so they aren't saying whether they did it or they didn't do it. But it does seem like all signs are pointing to Israel for this, whether they are mum on the beat or not. But obviously, you can say, oh, well, okay, successful. We killed 8 terrorists. It's like, but you also killed like an 8-year-old girl. So you also injured a bunch of innocent civilians who have nothing to do with this shit. So, and then I think about these kind of things, right? Like, I don't know why it was this one specifically. I guess because it was just so audacious, it really kind of made me wonder. But it's like, imagine all the time, the money, and the resources that are put into this, just so that you can more or less send a message. Because it's not like they killed someone who is going to be super important and change the course of any of this shit between Lebanon and them, or Syria and them. Like, if that's the case, like, they just did this to send a message of like, hey, we can hit you in ways that you will not ever expect. And it's like, okay, cool, I guess you put the fear of God in them, but it doesn't stop them in the situation, because they are going to just be even more motivated to attack you in terms of retaliation. So, I don't know. It just seems like more fucked up and less impressive the more I think about it, but I will say it was just one of those things I was like, what the fuck am I reading right now? One, people are using pagers right now, which, don't get me wrong, like, apparently terrorists use pagers, and also doctors use pagers. So, it's not a out of the realm of reason in 2024. But still, like, the idea that like a pager was rigged to blow was blowing my back out. It didn't make any sense to me. So I was glad I got a little bit of clarity of like, maybe it was like some kind of eraser head sized bomb that was put in, explosive device, whatever you want to say. But still, that is crazy. Like, to a point, I dare say impressive. Just the level of spycraft there. But yeah, still, that being said, still very upsetting, very sad to see that level of damage and that scope for, like, once again, what fucking purpose? That's not defense, dog. You're just sending a message. That's not defense for your fucking nation state, your fucking ethno-state. But whatever. Let's go ahead and move along. The rest of these stories, once again, I have to preface, sadly, I have a dark sexual nature involved to them. Very unfortunate, but we're going to go ahead and try to delve into this ick and then just get out of it. You feel me? But from CNN, former BBC presenter Hugh Edwards gets suspended prison sentence for having indecent images of children. Former BBC News presenter Hugh Edwards, also I need to add no fucking relation. There's a lot of Edwards in this world, like goes without saying, but has been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment, suspended for 2 years by a London court for having indecent images of children, according to PA Media. And I gotta add here, it's crazy to me that they're just giving him a suspended sentence for this shit. Like, he got to leave his BBC cushy-ass job, with more or less full orders up until this point. They were mum on what the fuck was going on. They let him sit and, be arrested, and then, then the shit got announced, and it's like, oh, yeah, oopsie, yeah, he had some, like, child content and other illegal pornography on his phone that he bought, that he went out of his way to get. But, like, now he's only going to get a suspended sentence. He's just going to have to, like, let's just read into it. The suspended sentence comes with requirements including the completion of a sex offender treatment program and 25 rehabilitation sessions. So essentially, yeah, his reputation is ruined, cool, but he just gets to, like, walk around and be a free guy, no problems. keep all of his fucking money. BBC has asked him to return some of the money, but there's been no indication that he's gonna do that. It doesn't look like he is. But yeah, let's go ahead and scroll further. Edwards, who was the BBC's highest paid journalist, pleaded guilty in July to having 41 indecent images of children. There was in total 377 sexual images. Let me read the whole part here. The court had previously heard that Edwards had engaged in online chat with an adult man on WhatsApp who sent him 377 sexual images, 41 of which were indecent images of children. The adult man who sent Edwards the images is a convicted pedophile. They say pedophile in the UK, and I like that. I think it's funny. The court heard on Monday. Edwards sent him hundreds of pounds, apparently off the back of him sending pornographic images. Now, the defense barrister, which is like lawyer in, across the pond, whatever, Philip Evans, KC, said that the journalist did not make payments in order for images to be sent to him, and he certainly did not make payments in order that indecent images would be sent to him. That's fucking vapor bullshit, man. Like, then why are you sending him the money? Like, nah, man, fuck off. You're just gonna lie for him like that? Fuck you, you piece of shit. 7 of the images shared with Edwards were of the most serious type of indecent images of children under the English law. Most of the children featured in them were estimated to be between 13 and 15 years old. One was aged between 7 and 9. The alleged offenses were committed between December 2020 and August of 2021, according to the Crown Prosecution Service of England and Wales. Let's see. The court previously heard that Edwards told a man on WhatsApp not to send him underage images after the man asked if the images he was sending were too young. No more illegal images were sent after that message, the court heard, but the pair were said to continue exchanging legal pornographic images until April 2022. So essentially he had that guideline, that bar, but like the way this definitely works, and I completely understand it in British law or whatever, is that once you open that image, that is like the content that is bad, is icky, you are labeled as a person who is creating that content simply because like a spore or a fungus, you are spreading it. Like by you opening it, you have now created it on your phone now. And now you can do whatever the fuck you want with it, which is gonna be fucked up, but it's fucked up on that merit alone. So I get that. I the merits of that makes sense. But once again, crazy to use this law to fucking peg this guy dead to fucking rights and he doesn't do any goddamn jail time. You know? You could have at least made him fucking rot for 6 months. Yes, I fucking said it. I know, I don't like prison. Prison system is fucking bollocks. But it's crazy that yet again, the people at the fucking tippy top can just do whatever the fuck they want and they get a fucking free pass. All this dude gets is a fucking scarlet letter and some fucking rehab sessions, sorry. But like, no, dude, what the fuck? So cool, you had some standards, but like, why were you buying porn like this? It's just so decrepit and fucked up. It's monstrous. So yeah, and once again, I want to reiterate that he was on the BBC. I've referenced him before, I referenced him a lot. I'm going to reference him again, sadly. But like, they kept him on the payroll. They had no problem with that. I think they did. I think they definitely rushed to HR to be like, what can we do? How can we be punished? You can make the argument that they were in a fucking, finger trap here because at the end of the day, if they boot Edwards or make a move to like say what he did out loud, they could potentially get sued by Edwards, right? That could blow back on them. But at the same time, you, as a broadcasting company, you're supposed to be telling the fucking news people are withholding this kind of shit. This is the guy who coddled everybody when the Queen of England died and he's a good old chum, but he's not a good old chum. And people, I feel like, had the right to know that kind of shit. But I guess they were in this quagmire and so they said, zipping it up, we're zipping the lip. But yeah, it's a black eye for them. Boo to them. Tomatoes for them. Tomatoes for this fucking guy, dude. He's, like I said, he's crazy. He's walking around with his fat ass and fucking cardigan and shit. He's gonna be A-okay. He's gonna be fine. Meanwhile, the children, the people who had to fucking endure whatever the fuck was on those goddamn images are, what are they getting out of this? Nothing. They're still fucked, man. That shit's still getting spread around, potentially. Fuck, dude. So this was one where we have talked about it before. I figured let's just at least come back in and say the verdict, even though it pisses me the fuck off. I'm going to go ahead and take a water break, actually, and then we'll go ahead and get into the next story. Okay. Our next story comes from People. Sean Diddy Combs indicted on sex trafficking, racketeering, and prostitution-related charges. So they finally got his ass. Finally made the move. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been indicted on charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The charges come one day after the Southern District of New York announced that Combs, 54, was arrested by federal agents. Sources told People that the rapper and producer has been taken into custody at a hotel in Manhattan by Homeland Security investigations agents. Speaking outside the federal courthouse in New York, Combs' attorney Mark Agnifilio vowed to fight like hell to get his client released and said the mogul was going to plead not guilty, obviously. Thank God this motherfucker did not get any bail. Just because he should be sitting there. He should just be sitting and working it out. It's crazy that Young Thug is still in jail, no bail, having to go through this whole fucking trial. So yeah, in this situation, I'm fine and dandy with Combs, rotting for some shit until we get to trial. Let's see. Let's just go ahead and skip ahead a little bit. In the indictment, which was unsealed Tuesday and obtained by People, prosecutors accuse Combs of manipulating women into participating in highly orchestrated performances, which he called freak-offs. The freak-offs allegedly involved male sex workers. Prosecutors allege in the indictment that Combs would arrange to have women and sex workers fly to his location. Prosecutors allege that Combs ensured participation by giving them narcotics, holding sway over their careers, threatening to cut them off from financial support, and using violence and intimidation. Dating back to 2009, prosecutors allege that Combs assaulted multiple women. One incident in 2016 at a Los Angeles hotel in which Combs allegedly kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a woman was caught on camera, according to the indictment. Prosecutors claim the rapper tried to bribe a staff member in exchange for silence. I think he also tried to buy the actual tape off of the fucking hotel. It was insane. In a statement to People following the rapper's arrest, Agnifilio said that they were disappointed by what they called an unjust prosecution. Fucking skip that shit. Bullshit. I'm skipping all that. He's just literally glazing Diddy he's been so cooperative. He even moved back to New York to wait to be arrested. That's because you cannot escape the law in the situation, dog. You are too big. He would literally have to be doing some crazy shit. He would have had to be I'm just going to leave the country. And he probably would get extradited. There's just no way, dog. Unless he was going to take that, Israel vacation or that fucking Russia vacation. You know what I mean? There was no way. There's no fucking way. And shit, maybe Israel would probably send his ass back. They'd be nah, he's definitely not Jewish. We can't claim him in any way. Let me keep going. They bring up the Cassie thing. We talked about that. Let's see. I don't remember if we talked about Joy Dickerson Neal. We'll go ahead and mention this. A week after Cassie filed a suit, another woman, Joy Dickerson Neal, did the same, accusing Combs of drugging and raping her while she was a student at Syracuse University in 1991. The next day, a third woman sued Combs, alleging that he and a friend, Aaron Hall, took turns doing the same in 1990 when she was 16 years old. Another woman sued Combs in December, claiming that he and two other men did the same and trafficked her in 2003 when she was 17. Combs has denied all the allegations in December in a statement to People, which I have read that one before, so I know that's familiar. And that's where they close out on this article. So yeah, I mean, this is a major moment in the whole Diddy saga, the Diddy Do It saga. Also, it's alleged that in the raid, I think they had 1,000 bottles of Jergens was found. 50 Cent was teasing him about that in a post, I think via IG or some shit. So yeah, I mean, it's a crazy ass situation. It's really fucked up. But I'm happy, I guess, to see the wheels of justice turning finally. Which, like I said, I'm not surprised. It just seemed like they were kind of waiting to kind of gather everything to make this a slam dunk. I think, Diddy, like I said, is pleaded not guilty. I'm curious if he's going to wind up maybe trying to fish for a plea deal or something like that. But maybe he thinks he can beat this shit. I don't know. But we'll definitely try to keep track on that one. All right. We have one more thing I wanted to cover, but let me take my last break. Sadly, we are not closing out on a good note, but, I've dragged this story for too long, so we're going to try to just get into it. All right. The last story comes from Reuters. Dominique Pellicot, charged in French rape trial, says, "I'm a rapist," seeks forgiveness. I'm trying to use that word as little as I can, maybe as you noticed in the last article, but, we'll see. Dominique Pellicot admitted to drugging his wife and recruiting dozens of strangers to assault her over nearly a decade, begging for his family's forgiveness as he told a French court on Tuesday, "I am a," say R word there. Pellicot's hearing, the centerpiece of one of France's most spectacular criminal trials in recent history, had to be delayed last week due to his bad health. He faces multiple charges, including the sexual assault, gang sexual assault, and privacy breaches by recording and disseminating sexual images. He says that he was doing this for insurance purposes, I guess if someone had a bad reaction or something like that. But he was also posting this content. Also, there is a grand total of 72 people that are not criminally implicated, but there's at least 50 of them, I think, including Pellicot, that are, which is a crazy number for this situation. Pellicot appeared in court with a cane on Tuesday morning and spoke to the judge through a microphone. His lawyer said he had taken heavy medication and was allowed to take breaks to lie down throughout the day. "I am an R word, just like all the others in this room," he said, adding that, "I asked my wife, my children, my grandchildren to accept my apologies. I regret what I did. I ask for your forgiveness, even if it is not forgivable." It's worth noting, because of the nature of his wife being drugged by him and being completely knocked out, she didn't know this was happening and it happened to her. It took the police apprehending Pellicot of doing some upskirt shit and getting into his phone and stuff, and then they confronted his wife, which is, I believe, is Giselle. I'm getting her name right there, and showed her some of the footage because she's like, I can't believe what you're saying. And even then she was shocked and mortified. But she was having problems going to the gynecologist with these weird unexplained, situations going on. And that is what clicked it for her. And so instead of doing a private trial, which is normally how this would go down, she's like, "No, I want this to be public. I want everyone to see what had been done to me. I need to confront my husband, my now ex-husband. I think she went through the divorce process as this shit kicked off, and not to mention all the other people who did it. Also, it's important why it's why is he going about this roundabout thing of being oh, I'm the bad guy and also all these guys. That's obvious, right? Well, the defense of these other guys are hey, whoa. Some people have copped to it. Some people okay, they put to the screws. They're okay, yes, I confess or whatever. I did this shit. I'm bad. I fucked up. Other guys are saying, hey, I did this shit, true, but I thought this was all consensual. I thought this was a whole fucking thing where he was okay with it, she was okay with it, it was all a little sexy game. And it's that's crazy. You're going in here, you see an unconscious body, and you're oh yeah. No, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's insane. There's also, I know this is very gory and gross, but like he would ask the guys to like wear a condom, but they'd be like, nah, maybe not. So some would, some wouldn't. There's a specific case of a guy who had HIV, and he says like, oh, the guy didn't tell me, but he didn't use a condom. And then he's like, I was worried about my wife after that. But like, this shit still continues. You know what I'm saying? So this is very fucked up, highly fucked up shit. We won't get a verdict on it until I think December. He's looking at least 20 years. So there's that, but we might wait until that comes, and then we'll do an update on this shit. But yeah, I mean, I'd heard about this shit, I want to say maybe a week or so ago. I was hearing it on the BBC, and I was like, ooh, this is big, but like, it's also very heavy, and it's very hard to cover, and it's just one of those things. And we could go through more here. He talks about like his own, trauma. Like he said, he himself was sexually assaulted, and then, excuse me, that paired with the fact that he was so rocked up that he wanted to do wife swaps and shit, and his wife was like, no, I don't want to do that. He's like, oh, well, that pushed me into doing this. It was a trigger for him to be abusive, to do this shit, to assault his wife himself, drug her, and then repeat this process. And then I need to add, which I don't think I did, he posted that shit on a website. Now, luckily that website is no longer in service anymore, but that's a crazy fucking thing to do, man. So, super brave for Giselle to do this, to put this out in public, and to fight this thing in public. It said that like every time that she would come out, like during the breaks, during the end of the trial, it was to like a raucous applause of people. So I'm glad that she has the support there for all this shit. And it's also like, you know, definitely a push to like really tighten up the laws on rape, because they're there, but they're not as concrete as you think they should be. It's definitely really fucked up when you get into the weeds on this stuff, when you get into the guts of it. And it's like, why is it like as a country, y'all have these kind of like air holes and you haven't tightened them up? Like people have mentioned these things to you, and you're just not actually making the changes. Like that's crazy. But yeah, you know, I wanted to get the story in, as fucked up as it was. But that'll be it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. If you want to just reach out the freeway, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Sharing is caring. Feel free to do that on any of the social or music, whatever platforms you're listening to this podcast, watching it. Technically, obviously, it's not really that much of a visual experience. You're just looking at my cartoon face. But yeah, you know, feel free to do that. Really appreciate it if you do. But hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.